do it again, and it gives you the best possible viewing experience within the browser. We also recommend that you go ahead and click on the top button of your screen. There is a slider that you can click on that actually allows you to hit grid view. And that'll give you the ability to see both of the speakers at the same time versus toggling back and forth based on who's speaking. We like that view. We definitely recommend it and think it's the easiest way to watch a live cast. In addition to that, if you have friends or family, colleagues who weren't able to tune in today, feel free to share the URL with them in real time. If they have time, they can register at any point during the live cast. And in addition to that, this live cast is actually broadcasted on YouTube right now. So you can go to YouTube, go ahead and go to the Brand Innovators site, subscribe. We would love it. And you can watch in real time as well there too. And we'll be able to provide the link to this broadcast after the broadcast later today. So you should get an email if you've registered with all of that information. So last but not least, we always like to thank our good friends at Cisco WebEx for being an awesome technology partner and partnering today's broadcast. So special thanks to them, and we're glad to have you guys on board. So now, without further ado, now for the person that you came here to hear from, I'm so excited to introduce our friend, Esther Raphael. She's the SVP of Marketing at Intersection. Esther and I worked together for, I think, almost 3 years now, believe it or not. Hey, Esther.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you, Lauren?
Good, I miss seeing you in your amazing office at Hudson Yards.
One day soon we'll be back.
Yeah, we'll get that Bluestone coffee one day again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I'll let you kick things off.
Awesome.
Awesome speakers coming up, and have a great broadcast.
Thank you, Lauren. Hi, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Esther Raphael from Intersection. I run the marketing team there. And for those of you who are not familiar with Intersection, we are one of the leading out-of-home companies in the United States. And we focus on digital and traditional out-of-home experiences in public spaces. So check out intersection.com when you have a chance. I am now thrilled to introduce our first speakers of the day. We are joined by Nick Mason, the CEO and founder of Turtle. Turtle is a content platform that helps brands get read. After spending time with psychology professors at the University of Oxford, Nick realized the way businesses communicate online is at odds with how our brains work. In a world of too much information and too little time, it's very true, Nick founded Turtle to help commercial teams hold attention and forge deeper relationships. Nick is going to kick us off with a keynote, and he will be joined by Sachin Puri. Sachin Puri is the Vice President of Marketing at McAfee, where he spearheads customer acquisition across all e-commerce efforts for the consumer business globally. In addition to leading all performance marketing channels, he leads end-to-end consumer e-commerce and lifecycle management, including web development, email marketing, product monetization, data science, analytics, design, and content development. So please welcome to the stage Nick as well as Sashi. Hi, guys.
Hi, Esther. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Great. Hi, Sachin.
Hey, Nick.
I'll let you two take it. Sure.
Great. Thanks, Esther.
Yeah,
Thanks
sure.
for the intro. How are we doing, Sachin?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Nick? Can you hear me
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, I think I can hear you. I think you can hear me. Hopefully everyone can hear us. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We've been looking forward to this session for a while. Just before we get kicked off, I'm just going to try and share my screen, which is always an interesting experience on these platforms. Let's see how we're doing here. Maybe I can even go full screen. Hopefully, Sachin, are you able to see this on your side?
Yes, I can see
Yeah.
it.
Great. Okay, let's assume that everything's working and that someone will drop us a message somehow if it's not. So welcome everyone to this fireside chat with me, Nick Mason, and Sachin Puri. I think we've got about 45 minutes, Sachin, to run through the topic we've been talking about prior to this. And I think probably the thing to do is just jump right in. Esther's done us some great introductions, so I think we can just start with the material. I think, Sachin, unless there's anything you'd like to say before we begin.
No, I think let's jump in. Excellent.
Good. So hopefully today we're going to learn some interesting stuff from particularly talking to Sachin. And Sachin, I think a lot of the stuff is going to be coming out of your head. If that's okay, I'm going to be asking you quite a few questions. But hopefully we're going to be looking at the experience gap between B2B and B2C, tapping into some of the psychology that exists behind the requirements for creating memorable experiences, understanding and addressing some of the key challenges to personalization at scale, and then diving into how McAfee are driving results and relationships. And the idea really for this whole conversation is to spark some ideas and some examples and some advice, and to help people understand, how they can perhaps improve their practice, and hopefully everyone will come away with some new stuff that they can apply to what they're doing day to day. So I think without any further ado, let's jump into our first topic. So the first thing, Sachin, we were going to have a chat about B2B and B2C. And I know this is something that's been discussed numerous times by numerous different people, but I think that you have quite a unique perspective on this, because you spent the first part of your career in B2C, in B2B before moving into the B2C world. And now you've been at the forefront of McAfee's transformation to a new focus on global consumer acquisition. So given that backstory and that journey that you've been on, what's your perspective on the differences between B2C and B2B and how that's evolved over time?
Yep, I've had a chance to spend some time in B2B, about a decade, and then for the last decade, I've been in the consumer world. We'll see if that ever changes, but I love the consumer world. From my standpoint, I think the core principles are similar when it comes to B2B or B2C. You always start with the customer. Now, on the consumer side, you might apply different parlance to it. The kind of segmentation you would be looking into more demographic, need-based, etc. While on the B2B side, you might be applying more at the company level. And of course, you want to segment some of the decision makers within the B2B space as well. But you always start with some of the hypotheses and learning and insights from your customer and kind of pivot your marketing program around that. Obviously, the purchase cycle is different and more complex in B2B versus B2C. And of course, B2C gets complex as well as the value, as the price rises. And if you're buying more expensive product, if you're buying a car, it is more complex purchase versus you're going and buying a coffee. So those are the differences. For example, from B2B standpoint, it is a more longer purchase cycle. It is obviously there is a committee that is involved, and the factors you would want to enable there is cost of ownership, reliability, resiliency of the solution, etc. Cost of ownership plays a big role within the B2B as well, B2C as well, but the value on the B2C side still is a little bit more nebulous in terms of also improvement in the quality of life. So there are elements that kind of dissect between the two. Having said that, I think one of the core principles that goes both between B2B and B2C is like people want to trust you. They want to feel secured that the investment that they are making is right and is correct, and you're going to stand by them. That coffee that you're buying is going to be hot. It's going to be same. It has a consistent taste, all the taste that you expect. Likewise, the software you're buying and integrating in your overall stack is going to make your network more protected, more secure, or faster, more efficient, what have you. So the underlying human factors of trust still prevails, in my opinion, having done this both sides of the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's comforting to hear, because I know that, relationships are so important in every aspect of business. But I think what you're saying is that, those relationships obviously are slightly more complicated in B2B, and probably there's more stakeholders, but fundamentally still that trust and that long-term, building of the relationship is of fundamental importance. And I guess, you've experienced that relatively recently in taking McAfee from being B2B into being more B2C focused. And what were some of the key challenges that came up? Because obviously there's still the relationships, but everything that goes around it must be very, very different.
Yes, it is. And we are fortunate that the strategy that we have put together is multi-pronged. So McAfee has one of the biggest distribution advantages. It definitely doesn't need introduction. It's a household name. We have been in cybersecurity for more than 30 years. So we have both B2B to C relationships where we have partners who promote our product or enable or bundle our product in the services that they offer for the consumers. In addition, we also have expanded more direct relationship with the customers. And we have been in this journey for the last 2.5 to 3 years, where we have been transforming our business from purely B2B to C to more B2B to C and B2C. And I would also say what we are really transforming is more D2C, which is direct to consumer, where you're really talking to the customer directly, consumers directly, and building that relationship, that bidirectional conversation between the two. And it has been a journey overall, very exciting one. We have seen a lot of success when we are going and talking to the customers. Obviously, it's a newer muscle, so we have to think about the talent that we are bringing in, the content we are building, the platform that we are building. Our website had to be rethought through completely. So we launched a completely new website last year, which is more engaging directly to the consumer, because I personally believe the best in class best practices that you lead with consumer in mind, end user in mind. Even if it is your B2B2C, you sell to somebody, but they are also selling to their customers. So if you solve for their customers, you're actually solving for your actual customers within B2B. And then one thing does play out very well for us, that we have these partnerships where we continue to invest in our B2B motion, but that is partnering with us in our D2C, direct to consumer motion, because now we can go and